Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Dr. Jill Joyce Show, where we will be speaking about cancer and alternative treatments for cancer. And so just remember that if you have any medical illnesses or concerns, that this is a show for educational and informative purposes only. And so with that said, I will turn and introduce my guest, Dr. Melissa Lang. And Dr. Lang is my dear friend and colleague from school. We went to school together, and she's also a licensed marriage and family therapist and is also a university professor and has gone through herself a very, very trying time with cancer and wants to speak to us today not only about her own situation with cancer, but also the situation of a very close friend of their family. So Dr. Lang, Melissa, I'm going to let you take the floor from there and tell us what is going on.
Oh, well, I could talk to you for like 5 shows here.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to stay on target. I know Dr. Jill here wants me to talk to you about some of my own experiences. I'm happy to do that, and some of my own remedies. I'd also like to talk to you about a dear friend, a young lady who is fighting a very aggressive head and neck cancer that originated in her tongue, which is no longer treatable by any conventional treatment. Her name is Sally Hollingsed. You'll see her name up on the screen, Sally space H. Hollingsed is HOLLINGSED. But all you need is to go to youcaring.com, where I've set up a fund for her, and type in find a fundraiser is, type in Sally space H, or just Sally.
Yeah.
And then when you type in Sally, there might be 2 of them, but you'll see where it says fight against head and neck cancer, and you'll see her picture.
Right.
This young lady is as beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside. And I can tell you that if a positive attitude, a spunky spirit, a sweet nature, and beauty inside and out saved you, she would be saved already. That's not the case. So my mission is to get her into some alternative treatment with this fund. If you can find any amount of money that you can find to donate to youcaring.com on behalf of her will be so appreciated.
Now let me make sure that I understand. You're not talking about donating to her for any conventional treatments. You're talking about donating to her for something specific that's non-conventional. Can you explain that to the viewing audience so that they understand what we're talking about here?
I will.
Yeah.
And if you go to the site, you'll read a little bit more about that. You'll read an email she sent me. You'll read her bio.
Right.
You'll get more information about that. But I'll talk about that along the way as I talk about what happened to me with my cancer. I had breast cancer, which my kind of breast cancer, although it was aggressive and although I treated it with chemo, was a picnic next to what she's been going through.
Right.
So I went to hell and I'm coming back, and she's still in hell. And we're going to get her back, but we need alternative treatments now.
Right.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about my situation and then my remedies, and about this doctor in Texas that we're trying to send her to save her life, named Dr. Brzezinski.
Right.
If you Google him, you'll find a lot of trash about him. This is just the internet. You Wikipedia him, you'll find a lot of trash about him. Somebody said, where are the studies? I copied 20 pages of studies, peer-reviewed journal medical articles, and sent him to my son, who yelled at me that I crashed his phone because don't I know how to put a link up.
So the links are a little difficult.
I know you're trying to make a point, Mom, but
well, this is why we're having them just type Sally H into youcaring.com. There is a longer link that you could be going to, but we don't want to bother you with that because it will be more difficult for you to find it.
Periods, commas, slashes, all of that.
Yeah.
So when you go to youcaring.com, you'll see a strip that says find a fundraiser, and that's where you put in Sally space H.
Right, there's a search button, a search bar there. Yeah, and you just type it in. But
And
be sure
you
you separate Sally and H. If you put it together, you won't find it. Okay.
And then it might say see details underneath her picture, that you're seeing her picture on the screen, and you recognize her, and you click on see details, and then you can copy that link to your favorites if you want.
But first you need to explain to them why they would consider this, because I think the average person who's watching is probably thinking, well, if she's done everything conventional, what makes you think that you have anything that could possibly help this woman?
Exactly. I've had a lot of friends send me emails, not friends, but friends of friends, like, let her go. Don't you know everybody has to die?
Sure.
I'm saying I'll let her go when all options and opportunities have been,
taken off the table.
Exactly. So And you can, everybody knows who Suzanne Summers is. I don't know how
Right.
seriously you take her, but she's very serious about cancer and alternative treatments.
She's done a lot of research.
She's done a lot of research. She's had her own breast cancer. She was
Right.
misdiagnosed with a second
Right.
breast cancer that turned out not to be. And she did an
Right.
interview with Dr. Brzezinski in her latest book on cancer. So
Yeah.
he is in Texas, and he's had a cure, or discovered a cure 50 years ago. He's been using...
What is the cure?
Well, this is what he found. He found that cancer patients, 50 years ago he found this, when he was in Poland actually,
Yeah.
cancer patients were missing a vital aspect of a peptide in their body, a naturally
Right.
occurring peptide, a
Right.
protein,
Right.
called an anti-neoplastin.
Right.
And he noticed that the people that had cancer didn't have any anti-neoplastin, or very little in their
Right.
system.
Right.
And then the people that were healthy had lots of anti-neoplastin. So he started to replace it, and lo and behold, tumors were disappearing.
Right.
Now, there's a long story about him, and there's a documentary about him that he made. It's an hour and a half. You can find small snippets on YouTube, or you can buy this
Now, before
documentary.
you go there, where do tell us a little bit more about antineoplastins.
Anti-neoplastins.
Antineoplastins. Tell us what they exactly. I mean, you're calling them a peptide, and you're saying that they're hard to find in the body. Is it easy for him to get a hold of them
they're
to put them into the body?
easy to find in the
Oh, they're
body
easy
if
to
you're
find.
healthy.
If you're
They're not
healthy.
found in patients with cancer, and so he replaces them. He has to develop
Where
them.
does he get them? How does he
develops
develop them? How is that
well,
done?
he has patents on how he develops them.
Oh, okay. So there are
Like
patents on this.
150 on how he's developed them, which the FDA has stolen and repatented.
Now, why would that be a problem? Why would he not be considered doing something similar to what the pharmaceutical industry is doing?
Well, this is another half-hour show.
Well, please, just
Why?
a little bit.
Because Big Pharma and the FDA, and I hate to sound like, a lot of you are going to think, oh, she's into this conspiracy theory, but Big Pharma and the FDA and the government and the lobbyists, and
right.
they run the system. And if he owns a patent to something that is naturally occurring in the body
Right,
and is
right.
not a medical, isn't
Right.
going to make the money, the $200 billion cancer industry of radiation treatment and machines
Right.
and chemicals and Big
Right.
Pharma and the oncologists are going down the